Hello guys, I hope you're doing well on your study at home. And for our course, Academic Writing for Publications, I've been trying to find a way to give you the guidelines and end up with making the video clip and hope that this will help a little. Apart from communicating on a live chat, and Ajahn Varapon will try to set up Google Classroom, and that will give us more channel to communicate to each other. And this first video, I hope that it will give you the idea how to write academic journal effectively. So this first one, I give an introduction to encourage you guys to find the right publications and prepare yourself to set a timeline effectively. And here there are 4 topics that I will guide you along for effective academic journal writing. First, why writing academic journal at the first place? And why we have to choose accredited journal? Why is it so important? What is the journal impact factor or the ranking? And why you have to choose the journal based on this factor? Finally, on the 4th topic, I will give you the keys to academic journal writing. It is divided into 3 stages. The first one is to choose the right journal. The second one is to write a journal. And the final one is what you have to do after submission. Right? Why do we have to write academic journal? And for your own interest, to earn your degree and to demonstrate your proficiency in your major. That you can publish and open up many doors for you as a professional in the future. Who knows, you may work as academic in universities or a researcher in any institute within the country or abroad. And also, writing academic journal will give you benefits for both yourself or even your advisor as the researchers. Publishing is also beneficial for the institute hosting the journal by publishing an accredited journal. And next, the point to publicate your research work is to disseminate research, including its scientific and practical contribution to others in a particular field, so that the researchers who are sharing the same interest in your field will earn the awareness of the new knowledge in the field. And this will help to further develop and advance the knowledge and its application in the future. Finally, to show that you're the expert in this field and you have an ability to conduct research on scientific ground, although it is difficult to do the publication at a high quality. So overall, there are quite a lot of benefits. And why accredited journal, not just any journal? Because the accredited journal have the peer review process that can serve as a quality control mechanism and to ensure that every article is verified as scientifically reliable and valid. Let's think about publishing your work in the magazine. Can you get that for graduation? I don't think so, but if you publish your research work in the accredited journal, it shows that your work is verified and reliable on the scientific ground. And the reviewer board expert in the field will review the article submitted by researchers for relevance, quality, and adheres to the scientific standards according to editorial journal standards prior to being accepted for publication. You can see that the editorial board is very important. All of the journals have to have the editorial board, and this is to eliminate the bias that might have occurred. And this is fair for you who submit the paper. So the peer review is done blind, means that you will not know who is your reviewer, and the reviewer will not know who is submitting the paper. The peer review is also organized by the journal editor. So the editor is a very important person. When you're searching for the journal in your area, for example, this one is a thin solid films. When you're searching onto the internet, you can see that there are menus over here on your left-hand side. And over here is the editorial board that will give you the idea who are working as the editors. Here on the top is the chef of the editor. Here, there are associate editors as well. And with this detail, you know roughly who is the expertise in this area and where they are working at. There are also other information that you can get from searching on journal information as well. Let's have a look at this. It's the journal matrix giving you the information of the site score, impact factor, and impact factor over 5 years. And these numbers are important for you to select the good or the proper journal for yourself. So let's have a look a bit further on the journal impact factor. Why it is so important to choose the journal based on this number. The journal ranking system are used to determine the standing of a journal relative to other journal in the field, or to say that how good this journal is relative to the other journals in similar field. Actually, the Journal Impact Factor (JIF) was designed by Eugene Garfield, who is the founder of the Institute of Scientific Information, which is now owned by Thomson Reuters. The Journal Impact Factor is a measure of the frequency with which the average article in a journal has been cited over a certain period of time. It says how often that the paper within a journal has been cited, and that's important. Other rankings are also used, for example, if we based on the Scopus or Google Scholar Index, for example. And the journal impact factor will serve as a metric to reflect journal quality as well as the value of a researcher. What does it mean by this? It shows that you are valuable as a researcher for your own reputation and for your recruitment for future career. If you think about it, you have to provide your CV, and within your CV, you've got information of your publication with high impact factor, and that will impress anyone who will looking for the right person. And when you're working, you're producing more publication. This will help for your assessment throughout the year, that you can perform best among your colleagues, and that will be good for promotions as well. Today you're a student, next you can be academic, and next you can be professor, who knows? And that later will give you research fellowships and awards when working as academic or even gaining research grants. And this is quite important nowadays because we don't get the research grant for university right now, or the granting agencies are very tough. If you choose your publication with high impact factor, it's a good chance for them to see your work is verified and at a very high standard. So now let's move on to the last one that you might be waiting for. Here's our keys to academic journal writing, which I will delineate into 3 steps. The first one is choosing the right journal. The second one, writing a journal. And the third one is what you have to do after submission. Firstly, how to choose the right journal. And when you have to target on the right journal, what do you think of it? Remember, there is no point submitting your research article to the wrong journal. This is the very important step that I asked you last week to find out what kind of journal you're looking for. And what you have to do is try to find publications that are more specifically oriented towards your thesis. So concentrate on your areas. Find the right keywords and look for it on internet. Or find a journal that specializes in one of the subtopics of your dissertation. Means that you don't have to publish the whole thesis. You have 3 or 4 years to work on it. So select some bits of your masterpiece that this is the best one and it's specialized for some journal, and then you can have a chance to publish 1 or 2 papers from your whole research work. And what you have to do, you have to understand exactly what journals are and which ones might suit your work. To this, you might have to discuss with your professor or your thesis supervisor which one is suit for your work. If this sounds a bit intimidating to publish in a very high-ranking journal, don't be put off. Take your time to read the journals in your field, to familiarize yourself with their content. And remember, the main criteria for the selection is based on the field of the journal and its impact factor. Next, this is very important because someone ignored the instruction that the editor is giving you to follow. So here's the key. Follow the instruction. Don't ignore the editor's instruction when submitting to publications, because you will waste your time doing something else that they don't need. And make sure that you provide the context for your research request by the editor. Think about it. If they don't want, they don't ask you to do. Because as the editor, they will receive a huge amount of numbers of submission. And then they have to narrow down the selection. So if your one is not good enough, you have less chance to be selected. As the editors, they will narrow their selections as much as possible from the countless numbers of submissions they receive. This is your chance. follow the instructions that meet their requirement at the first place. And here are the guidelines for authors that you have to follow. There are a variety of the guidelines for authors specifically by the publisher itself. And if I give you the same example as the Thin Solid Film Journal, as I've given you before, you can go for the guideline for authors like this. And here's the main author instructions. You can either download the guideline for authors in PDF file or view the guideline for authors online. So there are huge information that you can look for. Just get into the journal publication website. And in the stage 2, writing a journal, this is tough, but you have to encourage yourself throughout along the course. Firstly, that I would recommend get yourself enough time. And you may say that there won't be enough time for getting on writing a journal. Think again, plan carefully about writing a journal, and write deliberately. You have to force yourself into it. Get passionate about it and take time to reconsider and edit your work, because when you write something, it may not be right. Thinking about when you write a message to your friends on a live chat, and sometimes you have to rewrite again, and that's not for a formal communication. But then for writing a journal is very formal, so you have to write and reconsider and edit your work again and again. Don't try to do it all at once, because it's a huge work to do. So you have to separate your stage of working to suit your own style of writing. Be prepared in advance, and when you find a call for a paper, even from the journal or from the conference, that suits your research area. So you can make sure that you have time to plan, research, write, and edit your work. And believe it or not, editing consumes quite a bit of time. Next, ask for help. And I know you're good at it. For help, unless you have a very grumpy supervisor. Okay, don't get to that. Don't feel too lonely doing it all alone by yourself. You have to be optimistic. Keep in touch with your lab partners to get more new and fresh information about upcoming research results, or contact your thesis advisor regularly to assess your research idea to confirm that it's still okay to get along this course of writing. Then remember, ask for help, but don't do it every day. Next, which is quite important, you have to be formal on writing academic journal, because academic journal is not a magazine. It's very formal, and you have to make sure that the tone of the written piece is very professional without use of cringes, jokes, or personal anecdotes. This means you have to make sure it's well written with correct English grammar, and if you want help, just find help. And grammar writing shows the quality of your research work. Writing quality is very important. Take the time to make sure that such aspects as spelling, grammar, and format are correct. And nowadays, writing on a Word document, nobody corrects the grammar for you, but you have to make sure that it's in your content that you want. The academic pieces having numerous errors are not acceptable, because it's confusing and might have given the misunderstanding when interpret the data. So be careful about this. And the next one is a citation. The citing of your reference in a correct way is very important whenever you publish any work on the journal. And the purpose of citation is to show that you care. You want to put proper credit to individual work that were used throughout your academic piece to substantiate your subject matter. And lastly, editing is the key to all good writing. And you, as a beginner, you can get professional help with editing at certain stages of your research, because if you can't get through it, you might waste your time by editing it by yourself, and it may come out worse than you think. So get professional to do it if you need, because they will help you to overcome the hinders. And now for a bit of suggestion on citation on the research. There's the software called EndNote that will help you along a bibliography, and you can get training from the library at the university. But within this situation, they may be holding it for a while, but let's find out later whether you can get the training in a 3 months time, for example. And this software is very useful for bibliography and help you to put it in the correct way. When you're searching for your research paper that's relevant to your work, You can save it in the EndNote library, and that will give the details of authors, years of publication, the title. And if you look onto the details, here are the different fields that showing authors, year of publication, title, the name of the journal, who is the publisher, volume, issue, pages, and so on. And when you try to look for the journal related to your work on the search engine, for example, this one on SiteDirect, when you find your right topic, and you can go for export and export citation to EndNote libraries, and that will be within a second. So this is very helpful and get yourself to get training later on. Now we're going through step 3 after submission. First of all, don't expect your work to sail through the rigorous checking procedure without any changes, because you're not the expert. You're a student trying to make the first publication. When they give you back the feedback, please think that the feedback is a cure, and it helps you to better the quality of your work. So please accept and embrace criticism from the reviewer or even the editor. Don't panic and don't give up. Don't be let down by their comments. Think that is a good opportunity to reconsider some of your sources, or maybe it's time to balance argument. Criticism is good and help us to grow as a researcher and as a writer. And then try to do good revision and resubmit. And keep in mind that this is the point of peer-reviewed journals. And it's a challenge for any professional academic in the hope of disseminating useful and accurate knowledge. Remember, you want your work to be disseminated with accurate data, because you can't go and edit it once it's gone published. It wouldn't be good, would it, if you publish with incorrect data with your name and your supervisor names on it. So use all the criticism and suggestions to improve or revise your work as much as possible, and then send it back with the careful help from your thesis advisors. Lastly, what you have to do now after resubmission, be patient, because publications take time, and that's why you have to plan ahead if you are expecting to graduate on time. But for the meantime, while you're waiting for your result, don't let your skills stagnate. You can either look for other opportunities in other academic publications, or keep busy, active on the research project, or work on editing and improving your dissertation, or even just start on writing a blog. So do anything to suit yourself while waiting. So I think for this you might get useful information to prepare yourself, plan ahead for your academic writing for publication. Remember, the first step is to choose your publications journal. Not be patient, we're not in this stage. You have to go back to the first step, find the right journal. So good luck. Next week's about understanding the journal format and how to put your work into there. So bye for now.